the Dr. Gerry Fishkin Show, where we diagnose one neurosis at a time. I'm your host, Dr. Gerry Fishkin. Now, I'm not your doctor. I'm not a medical doctor. But after living through 3 election cycles in one Facebook comment section, I feel more qualified to diagnose the present situation. Today's episode is a public service, a warning, and possibly an intervention. We're talking about a condition sweeping the nation, a condition more contagious than COVID, more persistent than athlete's foot, genital scabies, and more aggressive than a vegan at a barbecue. It's called Trump Derangement Syndrome. Trump Derangement Syndrome, or TDS, is a psychological condition in which the mere mention of Donald Trump triggers an immediate emotional meltdown, loss of rational thought, a sudden urge to post 47 Instagram stories with crying emojis. Oh my God. All right. What are the key characteristics? All right. Trump takes up more space in their head than their own spouse, kids, job, or anything else in their life. They don't just think about Trump. They experience him. He lives in their head, rent-free, fully furnished, ocean view. These individuals can be enjoying a birthday party, a wedding, or a colonoscopy and somehow blurt out, well, this is basically Trump's fault. You could be discussing potholes in Des Moines or Los Angeles, and somebody will shout, this is what fascism looks like. No, Karen, it's just asphalt. Now, before anyone panics, TDS is not in the DSM-5, mostly because the DSM committee meetings keep getting interrupted by committee members screaming and yelling at each other about who's right. What I'm about to describe is not political advocacy, not a diagnosis yet, and certainly not a reason to call your cousin and say, this episode is about you. No. Every day in my clinical practice, I sit across from people who are intelligent, educated, functional, and emotionally exhausted. They come in for anxiety, depression, relationship problems, sleep issues, anger, despair, or a vague sense that something is hijacking their nervous system. And occasionally, sometimes subtly, sometimes not so subtly, a familiar name enters the room. Not because I bring it up, not because they're trying to be political, but because the emotional charge is disproportionate to the stimulus. I want to be very clear at the outset. I do not take sides. I am not here to defend or attack anyone. Politics is not my lane. Psychology is. What is my lane is noticing patterns that are both psychological and social. And over the last several years, a very specific pattern has walked into therapy offices, dinner tables, family holidays, group texts, local restaurants and pubs, and social media feeds. Today's episode is not about a man. It's about a reaction, a psychological phenomenon where a single figure becomes a repository for fear, rage, identity, moral panic, and unresolved emotional conflicts. So for the sake of clinical distance and a little humor, we're calling it Trump Derangement Syndrome. Now, it's not a working title, and it's not a DSM submission yet. This podcast is an exploration, an observation, a mirror held up gently but honestly. If you feel calm listening to this, that's wonderful. But if you feel irritated already, it's also interesting. Well, let's talk about the symptoms first. And don't worry, if you're listening calmly, this section probably isn't about you. Let's go through the official diagnostic criteria as developed by me 5 minutes ago. Symptom 1, pathological rumination. This is an obsessive inability to stop thinking about Trump. You wake up angry. You go to sleep angry. You dream of orange shadows. Patients report seeing Trump's face in toast, clouds, and poorly lit pumpkins. They can't remember their anniversary, but they know the exact number of golf games Trump played in 2025. That's not opposition. My God, that's intimacy. Symptom number 2, oppositional defiant disorder, adult edition. This is the reflexive need to oppose anything Trump-related, even if it contradicts prior beliefs. If Trump said, quote, drink water, patients would immediately dehydrate out of spite. If Trump announced gravity exists, TDS sufferers would jump off a roof screaming, science is dead. These individuals don't ask, is this true? They ask, who said it? And then to decide accordingly. Symptom 3, delusions of imminent dictatorship. These TDS sufferers are convinced democracy is ending every 20 minutes. Every election is, quote, the last election. Every rally is, quote, beginning of the Fourth Reich. Every executive order is compared to 1930s Germany by people who can't even find Germany on a map. These TDSers say things like, I'm literally shaking. No, you're not. You're holding a latte. Symptom 4, histrionic outbursts. Crying, screaming, posting selfies while crying. Public wailing is common. Patients often film themselves sobbing in cars, bathrooms, or Target parking lots, announcing they are, quote, not okay. No one asked. Symptom 5, retaliatory ideation. It's a deep desire to punish anyone who disagrees with them. These individuals now describe disagreement as danger. One told me, if you voted for Trump, I am literally unsafe. I said, unsafe how? She looked at me and said quietly, emotionally. Symptom 6, political monoculture. Now, this is a critical requirement for diagnosis. You must be a Democrat or bleeding heart liberal. There are no conservative TDS patients. Conservatives dislike Democrats. Conservatives don't form identity-based emotional support groups. Liberals with TDS, however, cannot function without daily reinforcement from Twitter, MS Now, or that one aunt on Facebook. So with every diagnosis, there are supporting diagnoses. And one of them is black and white thinking, no gray. Number 2, catastrophic language. This is the end of democracy, humanity, reality as we know it. Number 3, moral absolutism. How dare you challenge my beliefs? Who do you think you are? Reduced curiosity. I don't care to learn anything new. These are my beliefs. Number 4, heightened certainty with reduced nuance. I absolutely believe what I'm saying, and that's all there is to it. So as with any diagnosis, there are common triggers. Triggers include seeing a red hat, hearing the word America, ICE, flags, pickup trucks, the phrase border security, someone smiling while conservative. Now, to back up this diagnosis, I have a couple of case studies I want to present to you. Case number 1 is Emily. Now, Emily was a 34-year-old marketing professional. Emily hasn't spoken to her father since 2016 because he once said, I like low taxes. Emily believes this makes him a white supremacist. Emily also believes cutting contact with him is self-care. Emily cries when she hears country music. Emily is going to be in therapy for a really long time. Case number 2, Andrew. Andrew is a 42-year-old male who says he is emotionally exhausted. Andrew spends 8 hours a day doom scrolling. Now, Andrew believes Trump personally caused inflation, climate change, COVID, and his divorce. Andrew's wife left because Andrew wouldn't stop talking about Trump during sex. And that's the fact. So, with any diagnosis, there is what we call a differential diagnosis. How do we differentiate DDS from other diagnoses? Now, some people say, isn't this just political disagreement? The answer is no. Normal disagreement sounds like, I don't support his policies. TDS sounds like, Trump is an existential demon sent to end time itself. There's a big difference. So now it comes down to the etiology, what we call where it comes from. So how does half the population catch this syndrome? Let's speculate wildly. In psychology, when we don't know the cause of something, we typically do what clinicians have always done. We speculate confidently, but with diagrams. So let's ask the obvious question. How does roughly half the population appear to suffer from the same emotional response to the same stimulus? This is where things get fun. Now, I have several theories. I'm going to present them to you. Theory 1, the broken home hypothesis. Now, statistically speaking, nearly 50% of the population comes from disrupted or broken homes, absent fathers, emotionally unavailable authority figures, unreliable protectors. Now, stay with me. This is theoretical. What if some people encounter a loud, dominant, boundary-breaking authority figure and their nervous system doesn't register, quote, political leader, but instead hears, oh no, him again? Could this be a reaction formation? A psychological defense where the unconscious says, quote, I cannot tolerate the pull toward wanting protection from someone I don't trust. So I will reverse it into absolute hatred. End of quote. In other words, you don't hate him because you care. You hate him because you care too much. Nothing activates unresolved attachment wounds like authority mixed with unpredictability. Again, this is humor, but it's educated humor. Theory 2, projection on a national scale. In therapy, projection happens when we place our own unacceptable thoughts, fears, or impulses onto someone else. Now imagine projection, but with millions of participants. Suddenly, Trump becomes the reason for anxiety you had before he existed. He embodies moral flaws you never fully confronted in yourself. He carries the weight of every disappointment you've ever had with institutions, parents, or reality itself. It's not derangement. That's efficiency. You put all of your negative emotions in one basket, and the basket's name is Donald Trump. That's efficiency. Theory number 3, the nervous system can't handle ambiguity. Some people, like myself, thrive in complexity. Others require certainty like oxygen. Trump, love him or hate him, is psychologically untidy. No script, no predictable affect, no soothing narrative arc, often full of self-puffery, large ego, no filters. For certain nervous systems, that's intolerable. So the psyche does what it always does when overwhelmed. It simplifies the threat. It demonizes the stimulus, And it converts anxiety into rage because rage feels stronger than anxiety. And strength feels safer than fear. Now, none of this means something is wrong with a person experiencing these reactions, but when emotional responses become persistent, disproportionate, identity-defining, and immune to new information, we clinicians start paying attention. Which brings us to the fun part, the treatment plan. Now let's talk about treatment because there is hope. Treatment step 1, media detox. Patients must immediately stop watching cable news. Yes, all of it. You can't watch it, especially the shows where the host looks perpetually horrified. After 72 hours without MS Now, patients report reduced blood pressure and the ability to smile again. Treatment step 2, exposure therapy. Gradually expose yourself to opposing viewpoints. Start small. A neutral article, a calm, conservative voice, like mine. A podcast that doesn't scream at you, like mine. Do not begin with Thanksgiving dinner, however. Treatment step 3, identity reconstruction. Patients must rediscover who they were before 2016. And that includes what your hobbies were, your friends, thoughts not related to Trump. Some patients cry when they realize they used to enjoy sunsets. Treatment step 4, reality testing. Ask patients to answer basic questions. Did democracy actually end? Are you currently in a concentration camp or gulag? Can you still order DoorDash or Uber? If yes, symptoms may be exaggerated. Treatment step 5, acceptance therapy. Now, this is the hardest. Accept that half the country disagrees with you. You are not morally superior. Elections have consequences and outcomes. Recovery often begins right here. So given the whole process of TDS, what's the prognosis? Well, untreated TDS can last indefinitely. Some patients have had it since 2015 and are now fully unhinged or feral. However, with treatment, most people improve within one election cycle. Now, relapse is possible during debates. In closing, look, folks, you don't have to like Trump. You didn't have to vote for Trump. You don't even have to understand Trump. But if one man controls your emotions, relationships, and blood pressure, that's not politics. That's pathology. If today's message spoke to you, email me your thoughts at Dr. Gerry at drgerryfishkin.com. I might just read them on air. And yes, I'll send you one of my beautiful Dr. Gerry Fishkin Show mugs. You can follow me on social media. And if you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to like, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and share it with your family, friends, or anyone you know who seems troubled or obsessed with TDS. I'd love to hear your stories. So until next time, I'm Dr. Gerry Fishkin, wishing you success in searching, growing, and living your best vision for your life. This has been the Dr. Gerry Fishkin Show. Remember, disagree loudly, think clearly, and laugh often. Love and hugs, and until the next time, be well.